and plans and...
The Parliamentary Committee on Commissions, Statutory Authorities and State Enterprises, COSASE, on Thursday presented a report on the Auditor General's report on financial statements for the year ended 30th June 2023. The report looks at a number of entities, including Kampala Capital City Authority and National Environmental Management Authority, among others. The report, presented by the chairperson of COSASE, Medard Ssegona, was inevitable to exclude the history which led to the loss of lives after the COSASE landfill collapsed, leaving 53 people dead, 28 missing and 18 injured. Ssegona claims that the authorities were fully aware of the possible outcomes from the COSASE landfill after several investigations and alerts. COSASE report exposes a presidential executive order on the management of waste in urban and city centre dated 9th April 2023, which was left hanging by the relevant authorities. The report highlights that the former ED of KCCA, Dorothy Kisaka, initiated the implementation of the presidential executive order, but in vain. Kisaka, in her letter dated 20th June 2023, asked that 36.6 billion be allocated for the decommissioning process of COSASE, but the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development turned a deaf ear. COSASE report faults the Minister for Kampala and Metropolitan Affairs and the Permanent Secretary and Secretary to the Treasury for keeping silent on Kisaka's cries.
The Minister for Kampala, who was copied in the same letter, took no action, not even a visit to the facility to ascertain its state. She never raised the matter in Cabinet and never followed up with the Minister of Finance.
This is the reason why COSASE wants both Minister for Kampala and PSST be held responsible.
The Minister and the PSST cannot escape liability for what befell the country.
After the failed attempts, the Director of Public Health and Environment at KCCA, Daniel Ayen Okello, on 2nd July 2024, notified the former KCCA Executive Director about the sorry state of COSASE landfill, indicating possible dangers after identifying cracks and blockage of drainage. The then KCCA ED Dorothy Kisaka also went silent despite the alerts from Dr. Okello. COSASE wants Kisaka to be held responsible for this move.
Prudence would have required the authority to immediately halt the activities at COSASE, having obtained expert guidance from its own expert. At this point, the Executive Director and her deputy, who received the memo, kept it to themselves. There is no evidence that it was brought to the attention of the authority or government.
The COSASE report also exposes how lack of transparency contributed to a failed attempt to identify a possible investor to execute modern waste management. The process turned out to be a blame game, with the former ED blaming the KCCA technical team that decided to operate behind doors.
Whereas the accounting officer explained that a prospective investor was found, no concrete steps were taken to seal the discussion to a logical conclusion. Indeed, there was no public search for potential investors.
With this directive now, Jasponga has to vacate immediately. So they have to get out of that place because they are there illegally. And we hope the Ministry of Kampala will abide by this directive, comply and implement it. Action should be taken. The ministers for Kampala have been cited in the report. The PSST, Mr. Ramadhan Gobi, has also been mentioned, and a couple of others.
The report further brings out how the 135-acre land in Dundu-Mukono district was wrongly acquired after the committee found out that the land is not strategic enough to accommodate waste management.
The nature of land in Dundu, earmarked for establishment of a waste-to-energy modern facility, is situated in the residential area and snakes around in a meandering river-like manner. The nature of this land could not and cannot accommodate a landfill in the traditional sense without causing hazardous inconvenience to and endangering the residents' public health.
Medard Ssegona, points out a number of recommendations, including reviving the presidential executive order, closing of all landfills in Kampala Metropolitan Area within 2 years, and channeling waste to a modern landfill. And no dumping should be allowed at Dundu, Mukono district, among others. The COSASE report is not far away different from a previous report by the Inspector General of Government, which faulted the former ED, Dorothy Kisaka, for the mismanagement of waste in Kampala. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
And plans and adhere to the budget execution, implementation.